Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.
Hey everybody, welcome to Talking Memphis Wrestling, a version of the Randy Hales Show, and we're at Setside at the Control Center, all ready to go. Welcome again to Talking Memphis Wrestling on a Tuesday, and it's so good to be with you guys today. One of the first people in the house is my buddy Ahmad. What's going on, Ahmad? From Mississippi is Drew. Is Calvin Lindsay Jr. in the house? Gerald Jones. See what Gerald has to say. So on this cold night here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, you're exactly right, but it's 41 degrees and it was in the 20s in the morning. We have other people talking to us today. It's Thomas Lemon. 5913 says fired up, we will. Greg Rex says hello, and so many people are watching as we are live as live can be, and I am showing off my hoodie that I got from Brandon Baxter's radio station in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is the big 107.9. This is K-Fine Country, and I'm sporting that and been sporting it all day long. He's from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He's a talented son of a gun. This guy is a collector of all kinds of stuff you collect. This guy is a guitar picker and player, and he does a fantastic job with that. He's a hell of a dadgum tobacco chewer, man. He got that down pat. He is also a hell of a fisherman. Gets out on that lake, Old Hickory in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He is the best video dude I've ever seen on the face of God's green earth. That's Randy West is in the house, and he's wishing Randy Dandy, this Randy Dandy, a happy birthday tomorrow. And I don't know if any of my people are going to mention that at all. Right now, the only people you're dealing with is me. Pat Trammell is refereeing or keeping score or something at a high school basketball game in Alabama. Chris Ellis is working. Rusty didn't talk to this week at all. Gonna go with me and Michael St. John, but Michael had a business trip, and he said that he's gonna be a few minutes late in getting into the show today, and so this, people, is called a stretch. But even though you might think I'm stretching, even though you might think I'm boring, even though you think I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not being funny, stick with us. Because boy, what a show, including a surprise or two video, including the cards of the week, including the pictures of the week, including all that stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, we're saving the best for last. It's a 27-minute video, and Frank and PJ and Gerald and Richard and Randy West, everybody here. I'm going to get up close to my screen and tell you that I will show you a rare 26, 27-minute video today. A rare 26 or 27-minute video that was not on Channel 13, not on Channel 5. It was on public broadcasting in Memphis, Tennessee, WKNO. And folks, we show a lot of video, a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff we have going on and mention every week and show audio clips every week from the great professional, the great weather guy, as great as a broadcaster there's ever been in the broadcasting industry, the great Dave Brown. Tom Prestigiacomo hosted this deal for Channel 10 WKNO in Memphis, Tennessee. He called the program Conversations with Dave. Conversations with Dave. And folks, you've got to see that. Again, we are today on this program. We are in the stretch deal because Michael said that he was going to be in as soon as he can be in. And I can tell you that 30-minute video is just fantastic. I'll tell you what else we have. We have a video that Michael says he's going to surprise on us today. We also have a video that is very exciting, and I am getting a message from Michael saying he's going to be on in 10 minutes, and I apologize for that. We're going to have a rare video from the great 60s and early 70s wrestler Lynn Rossi. It's not a wrestling video. He wrote and performed a song called Wrestler's Prayer, and it's absolutely fantastic. Wrestler's Prayer. And that'll be in a segment pretty close after we get Michael St. John on here. This is the stretch part of the thing. But remember, we will have cards of the week. We'll have pictures of the week. We got a bunch of stuff going on. And as I approach my birthday, I'm thinking of all the experience from a fan in the business. And Memphis Wrestling has been so good to me and so much a part of my life. And be honest with you, everybody out here from Ramad, Ahmad, from Jeremy to PJ to Frank to everybody except for Randy West, because he loves me anyway, whether it's wrestling or not. He would still listen to me. We're buddies. He would listen to me on this show. But if it wasn't for Memphis Wrestling, you people wouldn't care about Randy Hills. And I know that. And one, I've played this and I've played it and I've played it and I've played it. Performed and written by Jimmy Hart. The video is produced by Randy West. And again, as we're certainly trying to stretch for time before Michael St. John comes in, we'll go back to 1994, the late February of 1994. If you've never seen this video, people, watch it and stay tuned because this will be a memorable show capped off by the Dave Brown 27-minute video from WKNO Channel 10, the public broadcasting channel in Memphis, Tennessee. But first we play Monday Night Memories. People, does this not give you chills as we watch Hickerson and Al Greene? Jackie Florida, here's the king. Well, Adam, work-related thing, he not here. So you're saying hello to me right now and the audience, and it's great for you to be here, Al. A big, big show. You don't want to miss this one. Some of the classic video we have coming up, including a 30-minute Dave Brown interview from public television in Memphis TV in Memphis, Tennessee. Plowboy Frazier, Tommy Rich, Gary G. Hey, Mike, what's going on, buddy? Michael St. John will be here in just a few minutes.
The girls thought the fabulous ones were cute. Sputnik Monroe, Don and Al Greene, the Gilberts and the Funks. I thought they were so mean. I watched them every Saturday on TV. I couldn't wait till they climbed in the ring. Monday night memories are all I have to remind me of you. Jerry Jarrett told Joe Yamamoto when he died.
Hey, people, do you have goosebumps? Do you have chills?
Buddy Wayne got a coffee. Hope they never change. Lance Russell,
Warrior
they call him
says.
Banana Nose.
Awesome.
Dave Brown
was a sidekick everybody knows.
Monday night memories are all I have to remind me of you. Monday night memories
Hey, Dennis, what's going on?
are all I have to remind me of
It aired in March of 1994, March the 5th of 1984. And absolutely a classic deal that we had. Just a legendary event that happened in Memphis Wrestling. And I would like to know, how many people are you or were you in attendance at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee on the 7th day of March of 1994? Hey folks, what is going on? What is on your mind as we wait for Michael St. John to roll into here, as we have great video coming up, interesting video, and I think this will be an absolute fantastic talk in Memphis Wrestling. What's on your mind? What do you have going on? What kind of questions? What kind of thoughts? Now, sometimes when I have a pack full of show, when I have 10 freaking co-hosts in here, then you guys, and no matter what else is going on in the show, it doesn't matter. It might be a subject from 100 years ago. Hey, here's a comment when we need comment. TT Warrior says, I went to Evansville once a month from 1978 to the last show, and am I right to say that the last show was either in 95 or 96? It probably was in 96. I am not 100% sure of that at all. Man, you guys, I think, will be thrilled to death, and I know I keep saying that, and that's a good way for you to change channels, to watch another stream, do everything else. But folks, can't help it with Adam Dunn. Couldn't be here at Open, or can't be here at all. Can't help it that Michael St. John had some business stuff, and the Warrior says it was 1996, the last show, and that's interesting. Evansville, Indiana was a town that every Wednesday night, guys, we call it Memphis Wrestling these days. Back then, it was just called the Memphis Territory. It was called the Tennessee Territory. Had Memphis on Mondays and Louisville on Tuesdays and Evansville on Wednesdays and Lexington, Kentucky on Thursdays. On Fridays, Blytheville or Tupelo. Saturdays, Jonesboro or Nashville or TV, Jackson, Tennessee on Sunday. And over the years, when Nick Gulas, before the split, he ran Birmingham and Chattanooga and Nashville and Huntsville and a lot of towns there. It was a big ass territory, a big ass wrestling territory that was just absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And that's why all these years later, right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling, we do have interest in an audience that come here every single Tuesday night. Now, Gerald says CWA USWA, the last show was 1997, and by 1997, CWA had been dropped for several years, had been dropped for the USWA, and I think it's 93. And Dennis Mitchell is in the house on Talking Memphis Wrestling today. Again, I think we have just a great show today. And here on Talking Memphis Wrestling, it's our goal to have the best damn Memphis Wrestling based talk show on the face of God's green earth. And that is certainly what we plan to do and have to do for you today at 15 minutes into the show, and no guests, no panel, nobody. So we will get into the show and we will talk about, and you guys can help me with some of the stuff that we will show today, some of the graphics and some of the pictures, and we will start with graphic number one, and there you go. So everybody, this is from the early 70s. This is from the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee, and so that's what I will put on you guys. Who is this picture of? Come on, Memphis wrestling experts. Come on, pro wrestling experts. Come on, people. Come on, Team Hells. Tell me who this is. Because I know one, and I'm guessing at the other. Does anybody watching this show right now, does anybody know who this picture is? And right now I can see somebody made a comment, and we will go. And Al Tuttle from Georgia. Hey, this is a Memphis picture, and a dead-gum guy from Georgia is the guy that decided, the guy who guessed who this is. You're exactly right. Early 70s. This is the great former 6 times NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and his opponent none other than the fabulous one himself, Jackie Fargo. All right. Great job there. Dennis, I haven't heard from Bill Dundee, but I heard from somebody that hears from him, and he says, that person told me that he is doing good always. One of my favorite people in the world, one of the great people in the world, superstar, Bill Dundee. Fantastic wrestler, fantastic picture as we are into the picture section of Talking Memphis Wrestling today. As Gerald says, one is Jerry Jarrett, and no, it's Jackie Fargo and Lou Thez. I love it when people is wrong. I love it when people's wrong. Now, can anybody tell me, and I'll tell you, that's Bill Smithson, a future Moondog in the ring. I don't know his opponent. This is Chattanooga TV. Who is the ring announcer in this picture? Chattanooga, Tennessee. Who is the ring announcer in this picture? Can anybody tell me? That's Bill Smith, and I want to know who the ring announcer is, people. Does anybody know? Do you have a clue? As I put that on Al Tuttle, you already picked one. I would doubt. Richard Hood got it. Richard Hood got it. He is the man. I can believe it. I didn't think anybody would get it. He did get it. And the answer right there is Ronnie P. Gossett. Ronnie P. Gossett is the ring announcer in Knoxville TV, and he got it. And I brag on Richard Hood for getting that answer of that graphic right there. I'm sure Randy West liked Ronnie Gossett about as well as I did, which was I didn't, and he didn't. Anyway, the next picture is a couple of blonde wrestlers. This is Bobby Main, Charles Fulton, and manager Sir Steve Clement. Sir Steve Clement at one time managed the Greenes, Don and Al, just a great manager. Bobby Main and Bobby Charlie Fulton were very good tag team. Very interesting there with that picture. This one is from the great Lou, the great Lynn Rossi. Lynn Rossi, late 60s, early 70s. This is a program from Nashville, Tennessee. This is the great program and interesting as well, and hope everybody enjoys seeing that for sure. Hey, Thomas, I did not like Ronnie Gossett, and I did put that picture up there, but only Ronnie Gossett stories that I have are bad ones. Plus the fact this show was formatted and set up, and right now that we're rolling, we are going to look at some more. Lynn Rossi, people, and as we're looking at other pictures, and there we go with that program of Lynn Rossi, and we just switch right back there. And on my fandom in wrestling, Lynn Rossi had a car wreck and was retired from wrestling 2 or 3 years after I became a fan. Lynn Rossi was born September the 24th, 1929, and passed away October the 9th, 2020, at 91 years old. Even older in life, even though he didn't wear that particular Southern Championship, he had held the Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship, but just remarkable talent. Remarkable talent for sure in Lynn Rossi. Now, everybody, as it's 22 minutes, and people, I probably bored the shit out of you because I've cut myself in the throat. Because I think the show's better when there's just one or two panel members than when there's 4 or 5. I think it's too busy. I think it makes for a tougher show to do, so I cut everybody. But then when Adam can't be on to produce, when Michael has a business situation to come up and is late coming in, I'm the one showing I'm not near as professional as I thought I was. And so I certainly apologize for the last 23 minutes if I bored your ass to no end. And I apologize to that very much. And so right now we are going to take the Lynn Rossi photo off here, and I need to this thing. I'll put that on here, and now he's coming from the state of Alabama. Alabama lost a ball game the other day, but they're not out of the picture. It was controversial, but a National Football Championship is not the same without Alabama there. We were fired up. Huge Dave Brown interview by Tom Presto Giacomo later in the show, and we make welcome to the show Michael freaking St. John for his hellos and first takes.
Well, buddy, first of all, there is no need for you to apologize. The apology needs to be on me, and I do apologize. But I had a trip. I had an appointment at 3:00, and well, long story short, the appointment didn't start until 4:00, and I didn't get finished until I texted you at a little after 6. So it's my apology. It's my problem. So if there's any problem with the show sucking, which it doesn't because you're on it and do a great job. So the apology needs to be on my head. So that's my first take.
All right, well, let's talk a little, not much. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on, and are you pissed off that even though they had a remarkable season, my person that I think is going to win the Heisman Trophy is from your school, Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt had a hell of a season, just fantastic. Somebody stole the coach and paid him a lot of money, and that's great. But what do you think about the Alabama loss? And are you pissed off that Vanderbilt, even though, if memory serves me correct, and I think it does, they just lost. Was it one or two games? Two games this season. Your thoughts on that as we talk football before we talk wrestling?
Well, I'll try to make it quick for you, Randy. First of all, I am not as upset about the fact that Vanderbilt was left out, only because of who they lost to. They lost to Alabama, and they didn't play real well, and it was at Tuscaloosa. So that's okay. So they lose one. They go to Texas and lay an egg in the first half. And both Texas and Alabama are ranked ahead of Vanderbilt anyway. And well, they should be, because head to head, that's the way it always should be, in my opinion. So am I mad that Vanderbilt didn't get in? I'm disappointed because they had the greatest season in my lifetime. But am I mad about it or upset about it? No. I think Texas would have gotten in before Vanderbilt anyway. But I think the travesty of justice is the fact that Alabama, who sucked after the Tennessee game at Tuscaloosa. And when I say sucked, I watch every game. I got 6 TVs going on a Saturday, and normally 2 or 3 people watching with me, including Joshua now, who's got his own opinion about things. But I just think Alabama, they've got they're living still under the aura of Nick Saban and being what Nick Saban was to college football, and still is to that. But he's not a head coach, and he's 2 years removed. And Alabama today isn't Alabama from 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years ago. So I think that's a travesty, number one. I think Notre Dame getting left out is crazy. But I think it's this committee sending a message to Notre Dame that get into a conference or else, because the two bullies in this whole thing are the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey, who I think is a goof, and the commissioner of the Big Ten, and I forget his name, but he's probably just as big of a goof. I just don't know as much about him. But they want to control the whole damn thing. Well, my point is, if the Big Ten and the SEC want 14 schools in one and 16 in the other, or 22 in one and 43 on the other, then they should run their own tournament and to hell with it. So that's my take. People are hacked off because James Madison and Tulane got into it from the smaller schools. You know what? Let's have a smaller school champion and let's have a bigger school champion. But I think we still need somebody at the head of the whole thing, not the NCAA, not the commissioner of the SEC or the athletic director from Arkansas or the director of sports from where, or the commissioner from the Big Ten to be the head. That should be an independent person. And then let's have a big schools, top of 64 school, national champion, a smaller division, national championship, and then your division 2s and your division 3s or whatever they are now. But that's my take on the thing. I just think that it's run amok. It's gotten out of hand. And the reason it's gotten out of hand is the money from television. The television revenue is driving the boat. And the boat is about to go off Niagara Falls. So, and the other thing, and I'll shut up about this, but I appreciate you answering and let me give this quote. I went to one football game this year. I am not a rich man, but I am not a poor man. But I'd be damned if I'm going to pay $600 to a ticket to see anybody. I paid $142 a ticket for Joshua, myself, and Brittany to go to Vanderbilt to see LSU and Vanderbilt. I haven't spent $142 on 5 Vanderbilt games in one season ever before. But it was my grandson's first game. He really wanted to go. Brittany wanted to see LSU. We had a great time. It was a wonderful experience. But was it worth sitting in 90-degree weather and $142 a seat ticket? No. And the fact of the matter is, it carries over, and let's just connect this to wrestling. You know what the cheapest ticket right now to WrestleMania is online, that if you buy it?
No telling.
$800. It's a 2-day ticket, $800. I was talking to our good friend Arvel Hutto today, and Arvel and I were talking about it. We were laughing about it. Arvel Hutto used to love getting $20 from Nick Goulas for doing a job on TV in Nashville on Channel 2 back in the day. $20, that was big money. You know how much I got paid for the Hulk Hogan video? Same amount.
$25.
$25, great money.
And you were thrilled to death.
Thrilled to death. But I'll be damned, and sorry folks, but I'm using that word, if I'm going to pay that amount, knowing that this NIL thing, and not that players shouldn't be remunerated in college, I think they should, but to give any kid 16, 17 years old coming out of the hood in Miami $2 million to play football at name your big time university.
Let me add this, Michael, real quick. Coming from what you said, or coming from a cornfield in Arkansas or a bean field in Arkansas, when you give them $6 million, you think in 5 years, where will they be? Probably
prison or dead.
Prison or broke. Definitely
yeah.
Broke, right?
Yeah, right. Well, we got a great example is Alabama. They got a great player, played at Saraland, won the state championship, probably one of the best players to come out of the state of Alabama since Julio Jones, named Ryan Williams. Alabama got him on an NIL deal. The guy's making $2 million a year. He's a sophomore this year. He was a freshman phenom, made all these great plays, return kicks, fast guy, good receiver, whatever. In the last 5 games, you know how many passes he's caught? 5. He's laying down because he's already told his agent. He's already got an agent. He's already told his agent he's going pro at the end of the year. Guess what happened after the Tennessee game where he got racked up a little bit, got a little nicked up? He doesn't want to get hurt again because he doesn't want to hurt his draft chances. So he pulls back. Don't tell me that that's not going to happen at every school, at every major kid that is in that same. And I'm not blaming the kid. I don't blame him. If I was a kid in his position, I'd think the same way. I don't want to get hurt and kill my career for another $900 million.
My friend Tracy Vincent, Sir Scratch Off, a viewer of the listener to Front Row with Bud Row, and we talk about this. Al Tuttle watching the show today. He listens to the Front Row with Bud Row. And a big subject every day, Michael, is this college football is just a mess and it needs help for sure. Hey, folks, and just real quick, I told Michael on the phone about this, and I've been teasing it, and I'm going to tease it to about 30 minutes left in the show to air it. Michael, I'm so excited, and I want I'll set up the video by saying that it was done for WKNO, the public television show, Channel 10, our station, Channel 10 in Memphis, and the interviewer was former WMC and M100 and just a good guy, Tom Prestigiacomo, and the subject matter was Dave Brown. Are you looking forward to this almost near 30-minute video in the last segment of the show, Michael?
I am, for many different reasons. First of all, it's about somebody that I have and I hold in high regard in Dave Brown. So I can't wait to see that. Second of all, it's done by a very professional guy and a guy I almost hired. I tried to hire and he didn't take the job at Kicks 104, Tom Prestigiacomo. He was at Wacky in Louisville with a guy that I knew, who was program director up there. And Mike McVeigh came in and Tom started looking and ended up going to FM 100 for Ron Olson and those guys, and was a great guy. Tom Prestigiacomo, great guy, great pro. So you got a great interviewer, you've got a great subject matter, and you've got just an incredible talent in Dave Brown, and what a great guy he is. So I am looking forward to that. But there's one other thing I'm looking forward to.
What is that, Michael?
And that is the fact that a certain good friend of all of ours on this show, of everybody watching and listening in, everybody.
You're not going to go that way, are you?
I'm going there. Happy birthday tomorrow to my good, warm, close, personal friend. Love you. Like, well, how do you do that? I like that. All I know is you do. I think the BU thing is that. And I got Joshua doing that. But anyway, happy birthday tomorrow. You are going to be a very tender age. You're not yet at Social Security, but you're getting there. An incredible career, an incredible talent. A guy that had an incredible book, has had an incredible storied career in the professional wrestling business, and has a fabulous podcast when I'm not on it, right here on Tuesday nights with Talking Memphis Wrestling. Happy birthday from our crew to you, Randy Hales.
Hey, thank you very much, and thank you everybody. And you and Adam probably got together because Adam has. I just clicked on the graphics. Has added some pictures. I hadn't noticed it to right now, and he also added
How many
a.
times did I talk to Adam? Okay, go ahead.
Hey, see, he's also added a video, but he said that because of copyright reasons, I got to mute the thing. But I'm going to have you laugh at some of this is young Randy. Are you ready, Michael?
Absolutely, go for it.
This will be the first one I do.
Oh my God, you're sitting in a punch bowl.
How do I look? Weeks old?
Maybe, yeah, maybe a month, maybe. My God, look at that beautiful outfit too. Wow. That's how babies did need to be dressed. That's beautiful.
My aunt ran a jewelry store on Main Street, downtown Jonesboro, when they had jewelry stores, as you remember, on Main Street, place everybody shows up. So they took me down there, and what do you think of that picture, Michael? Is Randy West laughing at me?
I'm sure he is. I love that picture. Put that back up. I want to check the resemblance, if you would.
Okay, I'm looking real quick.
Okay.
William says happy birthday. Everybody saying hello. Happy birthday a day early, and I'll probably have to knock some of these pictures. I might have to knock Adam in the head. There you go.
I kind of see a little resemblance, especially around through here. Absolutely. It carries over, especially through the mouth. Your nose is a little bit more turned up. Now, your eyes, you have the same situation I do. You have a heavy brow. You have a strong brow. You have a strong brow in that picture. I can see a resemblance. I can see that being Randy Hales. Awesome.
All right. Now, let's go when I was a little older. You ready for it?
Absolutely.
Cowboy Randy.
Cowboy Randy, Roy Rogers. I love it. I think everybody in that era of time, and I'm a little older, I'm a decade older than you are, but I think we all had those cowboy hats with the string under the neck to keep the cowboy hat on your head.
Very good. We look at another picture, and this is a family picture, and it went from one picture. This is just a bunch of everything, a miscellaneous of different pictures there, and this is the USWA promo picture, and then a picture of me and my mother, and this next picture, a very fantastic, memorable time in my life, and here to tell you what was going on in my life at this particular time is Michael St. John.
Wow, that was when you were taking care of Eddie. You were his caregiver and caretaker and did such a wonderful job for such a wonderful man. And to be able to do it for somebody that you idolized and was your hero and your mentor had to be very, very special. I love that picture. It's a great picture of Eddie, too, in his very latter stage of life.
Absolutely. He passed away in 2019 in August. Appreciate everybody watching the show today as we go back and see what we have. As we have that video that Adam put together with the music Glory Days, and we certainly can't get away or we'll be kicked off here real quick. It might take me a second to mute the thing, but Michael, you can kind of commentate through the different go there as uh, I will try to make this video bigger,
All right, we still have Eddie and you in the front of us.
and I will try to get rid of that. That's
All
the
right.
pile driver. I did the announcing, the Randy Savage thing. That's me attacking Scott Bowden, that no good son of a gun.
I remember that. And look at it, always in the middle of a brawl, getting burned by Eddie Gilbert.
Right.
And that's your Rampage on the River, Lawler with the beating the daylights out of the
My car
window of your car. Yes,
that I'm driving.
and you're in it. Yeah, and there you are with Lawler again.
Oh,
He's ripping the clothes off of you. Look at this. Oh my Lord.
look at my pink underwear.
And this is you in the control room on a rant. And again, out in the parking lot, parking lot brawls here. A lot of parking lot brawls going on.
For sure, Dave Brown. And look, did you ever think, you know me a long time, that I would be running down Union Avenue in boxers?
In your underwear. Yep. And there you are. Dumping you, Lawler, dumping you out of the wheelchair and laughing about it. Boy, oh boy. And this is I missed that.
That's me and Jeff.
That's you and Jeff.
Career.
Yep.
That's
Family
a family picture. And there, once again, is the cowboy hat, Randy. And this is from 1986. This is
Great
a family
picture.
And this is a picture of me and my mother lighting life. Who is this with Eddie Marlin and me?
Eddie and Tommy Marlin.
Yeah.
Eddie and Tommy Marlin. There's your childhood home.
The Earl
Bell's Community Center.
Where the San Bernard's Auditorium, that's the Mid-South Coliseum.
Yeah. Wow.
My high school graduation picture.
Good one.
That's me at home in Jonesboro, sellout crowd being a heel. That was me and Lawler at a onesie party. And this is me and the Giant Gonzalez Giant King, and I'm in trouble here as Lawler is beating the hell out of me, Michael.
Yeah, yep. And then here comes Billy Travis, Billy Joe. Wow.
Look at that body.
Oh, I love you, Randy, but you're a better promoter than wrestler.
Hey, that's not nice.
Oh boy! Now this had to be fun. Stacy,
yes.
Now look at this. Oh my goodness, this is hilarious. And then Stacy with the downstairs shot. And then Lawler with the pile driver. Second time. Oh.
That's me and Billy throwing Brandon Baxter in the trash can. Now I'm looking for Brandon Baxter. He's up on the roof and throws water all over me. Dang him. And now he comes back out and attacks me.
Wow. And you and Dave Brown.
That's a good shot.
I always loved it when you got hot, Randy. You got hot. People knew you were hot. That was a great sell. Great sell.
I'm checking on Brandon there as just a lot of Power Pro stuff. And how about who I'm arguing with here?
Jimmy Cornette. Yeah. So was this the Smoky Mountain feud?
No, this is when he came back to work for me in Power Pro.
Gotcha.
That's me as Randy X. And there's another brawl with me and the late Scott Bowden, the late Guy Coffey, the late Corey Macklin there. And this is me, Trash Cannon, Jim Cornette, and that
CWA, USWA, Power Pro.
And just a fantastic video. And what did you think? And again, thank you for bringing up my birthday again. And I appreciate everybody in the comment side. And Michael, birthdays are always fun. And maybe we'll have certainly a birthday party for you on this show sometime. Now, Frank has just told me something I did not do it. Now, Al is saying that in that video I was close to streaking. Do you think that was close to streaking?
That far away.
Now, Frank says, and I didn't know this, Frank. Frank, I knew you graduated a few years before I did. Who was your ex-wife? I did not know I graduated with your ex-wife. So tell me, your mother was my like eighth grade teacher, but who was your ex-wife? You have never told me that in your life. Now,
Wow. I wish we'd had the music because I'm sure the music would have added to it. So I was playing in my head Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen as I was playing.
Bo,
That's
don't
listen.
you agree that we couldn't have got away with that?
No, unless you pay the licensing fees, and that's a bunch of BS too. But anyway, but that's great. And listen, birthdays are special. That's a big thing. I know that's something that my wife, before we got married, it was she never thought much of her birthdays, and once we were together and started celebrating her birthdays, it was always a big deal. And I know when she turned 50, we had a big party, and she got a certificate to ride in the Rose Parade on her horse, and by golly, COVID came along and blew that up too. But anyway, birthdays are special, and now that you're getting to this point in your life and your career, happy birthday from everybody, Randy. We all love you and we all respect you.
Frank says that he was married, his ex-wife was Diane Childers, and I either forgot it or didn't know that. Diane Childers and I went to from kindergarten all the way through Jonesboro High School in the 12th grade. I cannot believe that. You're robbing the cradle. You were dating because you're older than me. You're Michael's age. And
Well, that's a shot.
yeah, you were late and it left me trying to pull teeth to get this show on. So take a little knock. Yeah,
I'll take a knock or two. I'm good with it.
Michael, we'll go back to where I was when you entered the show. If I can find that picture again, and I gave dates and this same thing. This is a Nick Goulas program of Lynn Rossi, and this is a miscellaneous of Lynn Rossi. And as I said before, Lynn, born September 24th, 1929, passed away October the 9th, 2020, at 91 years old. And I want you to make comments, and I explained to you in the again, you advised I don't have to worry about the music here. I want you to comment on Lynn Rossi and those pictures. Then I want you to pitch the video of the wrestler's prayers. So go back to your DJing deal, because in just a few minutes, for the first time on this program, Michael St. John will DJ and will call for a Lynn Rossi song, Wrestler's Prayer, but comments that we need now from Michael St. John on the great Lynn Rossi.
Well, first of all, that collage of pictures, I think, really showed Lynn throughout the years. A couple of those shots, I think, were from the DuPont Network when he was in Chicago. He had Gene Kaniski on the mat with a headlock, and he had a great body. He was a bodybuilder, but long before his bodybuilding wasn't steroid built. His body built was muscle built by him working out without steroids. And I think that was very important. And of course, Lynn was always into eating healthy, and he didn't drink. I mean, he had a tremendous career going, and then had a very tragic automobile accident that cut his career. I won't say short, but it certainly took a lot out. He was not the wrestler after the wreck, because it injured. In fact, it broke his foot and his ankle, and he had a very hard time recuperating from that injury and getting back into the ring and doing what Lynn Rossi always did. Lynn Rossi, you got to remember, back before the wreck, was one of the original high flyers back in those days. Not only was he a muscular guy, he could throw the drop kick, he could come off the rope. I mean, when you springboard him into the rope, he had that way of that athletic poise about him. And after the wreck, he was not the same. And then he opened a health food store in Brentwood and was very, very successful throughout life. But a real bright star in the sky, without a doubt, with Lynn Rossi. And he wrote a song called The Wrestler's Prayer. Was it Precious Memories that he started out with, Precious Moments?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he started out with That Starts the Song, and then he goes into A Wrestler's Prayer. And I want to say this was about the same time that Jackie Fargo had a song out. I think this was prior to Jimmy Hart and Jerry Lawler. But the record business and the radio business, especially there in Nashville, had a little bit of a connection, the wrestling business and the record business. So I think that's how this all came out. I think this was recorded, if I recall correctly, down on Franklin Road in the, I'm trying to think, it wasn't the Dot Record Studios. I'm trying to think what studios it was, but it was in Melrose, and it was in a little building there in Melrose where the Everly Brothers also recorded. So I think that's a little background on this song. So if we've got that song, time to play it now, right here on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Does this put you in church, Michael?
Not yet.
How they linger.
Hello, Lord. I thought perhaps I might make my reservations now for that big main event in your arena. I heard from your promoters that this would be 2 out of 3 with an everlasting time limit. I hear that some of the all-time greats are up there with you now. Men like Gorgeous George, Tarzan Hewitt, Don Cortez, Larry Shane, Ike Eakins, and oh yes, Lord, the one I knew best of all, my partner, Tex Riley. I know that throughout eternity, these men will make a big hit with you, just like they did here on earth. There are a lot of my friends still here with us, Lord, so please, take care of them, because someday they will appear in that golden ring of yours. Men like Jackie Fargo, Mario Milano, Joe and Bill Sky, Mr. and Mrs. Corsica Joe, Danny Dusick, Pat Malone, Eddie Graham, Ray Gunko, and oh yes, Lord, Haystack Calhoun. He's pretty big, you know, so please save him some room. I expect many of our fans will be there too, to watch men like Lester Welch, Cora Combs, Ann Jeanette, and many, many more, in the most beautiful arena of all, your heaven. So you see, Lord, we all know that someday we will receive your call. And oh yes, please, one more request. When a champ, Luthes, comes by, please treat him with respect, because if every man would follow in his footsteps, the world would be a much better place. And after all, Lord, he knows that you're the greatest champ of all. This is Len Rossi, Lord, and in closing, I would like to say, if I may, please, save a dressing room of heavenly splendor for me.
Wow. Couple of things. Number one is I didn't realize that song was that long, but he really did a fine job of the narration on that. But did you notice the song is a little off, the record's off center, and it had a little warble to it.
Yes.
And towards the end, there's a little scratch there. Of course, radio guys know these things, but it had a little warble to it because when they pressed the records, it probably came out a little off centered. But I wonder where that came from, because There's not a lot of copies, I understand. I think they only pressed 5,000 copies back in the day, and I just wonder how many are still in existence. And I wonder if any of our audience has any or has ever seen of any.
You know, Al Tuttle from Georgia says he's never heard of this. Thank you for playing this, and it's just a great song, and it's just something tremendous that we do on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Every once in a while, Michael, we find some gems and find some stuff that's good. I want to break in with this information. Our friend Pat Rose sent me a text. His son is now wrestling as Ty Rose, and he will be a part of Tap Wrestling, and that will be, and Michael, you can help me figure out where the hell this is that 5482 Manchester Highway in Morrison, Tennessee, a big TAP wrestling event, and it looks like Sean Hurley against Greg McDaniel, Ty Rose in the Mid-America Championship, Heavyweight Championship match. We have a pretty good looking card there, and it will be on Saturday night, December the 13th. And Michael will tell you where the hell Morrison, Tennessee is if you know.
Absolutely. I have a girlfriend that's mother lived there when we were dating, and Cynthia, in fact, is in New York right now. But Morrison, Tennessee is on the road, and I think it's Tennessee 50 that runs from Manchester north to McMinnville. And you go through Morrison going that way. And in fact, I take that way sometimes when I'm going from here to our radio station that we own in Trousdale County in Hartsville, Tennessee, when I know that there's traffic or construction on I-65, and then normally 231 middle of the day going up through Shelbyville and Murfreesboro, Lebanon, gets real crowded. So I go a little further east. It takes about 20 minutes longer. Got up through Manchester, go across Monteagle Mountain, cut up through Manchester, go up to 50 through McMinnville, and then I forget the road I hit to Centerville, then over to Hartselle. And it's a beautiful drive. In fact, in the fall and the spring, when the leaves are changing colors or coming out, it's just absolutely gorgeous. But Morrison is a little community, a little area, and it's mainly a residential area between I-24 at Manchester going north to McMinnville.
Now, did you ever or did you start later than that? Did you ever commentate a match of Lynn Rossi?
There was one match that Lynn was involved with as a second that got into the ring and got involved. And then the next week they brought him in and he was in the match, but he wasn't in the match a lot. I forget who he was saving, came out to rescue or whatever, but they carried the match. It may have been Joey, come to think about it. It may have been Joey. But yes, there was one time. Met him, talked to him several times. Very, very bright, very, very bright man. A very faith-based, religiously conviction type individual. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that his family went to St. Edward's Church, Catholic Church out on Thompson Lane in Nashville during that time.
Looking and finishing up the pictures. This
wow,
is one of my favorites and your favorites, Michael.
Nick Bockwinkel with, boy, look how big that belt. You know, the big belt thing has come back in wrestling, and look at that belt. That is just beautiful.
Now, we talk a lot about great wrestling announcers. Michael St. John is one of them. He's on the show today, Lance Russell and Dave Brown. Another one, maybe not so much, but he was certainly the most colorful dressed professional wrestling announcer ever. It's Boyd Pierce, born in 28, died at age 70 in 1999. He was Bill Watts' announcer. And would you say, Michael St. John, this is the most colorful wrestling announcer, costume, suit, whatever you've ever seen in your life? And by God, he wasn't very good.
Boyd Pierce, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to critique his work, but that looks like something that came straight out of the Rose Bowl parade. And I'm wondering if he bought it at a thrift store, that somebody that rode a horse in the Rose Bowl parade wore that outfit, because it does. It looks like something from the Rose Bowl. What a color. Yes, that is a very colorful, very, very colorful. And look at the microphone he's holding. He's holding that RE20 which is the same microphone that our good, warm, close first old friend who's having a birthday tomorrow, Randy Hales, has from the old Channel 5 days. Look at that.
You
Same
mean this one?
that one. I can't say it. Put it over in front of your face. There you go. Yeah, same microphone.
Same microphone.
You know, the great thing about those microphones, they were indestructible. You could use them for a microphone. And if you had a band, they could use them on the drums as drumsticks. They were indestructible. They really were.
Another picture that I really like, Michael. This was a merchandise, and I'd never seen it till I saw this picture a few days ago. Did you ever have a Jackie Fargo watch?
No, I didn't. And I'll be honest with you, that's the first time I've ever seen one. And it looks like he's wearing headphones, perhaps. I don't know. That's his autograph. I mean, obviously, whoever constructed the watch did a great reproduction of Jackie's autograph. But look at that. That's amazing.
We also often says Fargo's often imitated, never duplicated. Another person often imitated and never duplicated is the superstar Bill Dundee. And then we will show this picture. And which version of the Fargos is this?
I think that's Jackie and Sonny Fargo. I really do. Whoever later became Roughhouse. A real resemblance, a resemblance. I'm almost positive that's Sonny. I don't think that's Don. But I'm looking at the building, and I'm thinking, where is the building? Is that the old Ellis Auditorium? Or maybe the Hippodrome? Maybe it's the Hippodrome.
I am not sure because both of those buildings are before my time.
That almost looks like an auditorium. That doesn't look like the inside of the Hippodrome. I've only seen the inside of the Hippodrome a couple of times, and it was a skating rink. That looks more like perhaps Ellis Auditorium.
Now, one of our audience, Alexander, says as we go back to talk about Boyd Pierce, I'm looking at these messages, and I appreciate everybody commenting today, and I appreciate you watching Michael and myself for the show today. He says that Boyd Pierce looked like a country singer. Do you think so, Michael?
I'm wondering if Boyd Pierce didn't, and he and Webb Pierce weren't disconnected at birth.
Well, it could be, right? Because Webb Pierce was kind of flamboyant, right?
True.
And didn't he have a guitar-themed swimming pool?
Yes, he did. And you look at that, and as I mentioned that, I made a joke about it. But the fact of the matter is that may have been who Boyd was emulating, was the Webb Pierce style, since his last name was Pierce.
That's for sure, and that's a good idea. Now, Michael, this is what we will do now. As I've said, it's a 26-minute, 47-second video, and anytime you want me to pause it to make a comment, we can make comments during the video. Folks, this will be one of those things that you will find a lot of information in this conversation with Dave Brown from Tom Presta Giacomo, and we'll just go ahead. Since I'm producing today, we'll throw it back to Michael St. John, who will pitch to this tape of the conversation.
Well, first of all, this is a fantastic half-hour show, if you would, that was shown on WKNO in Memphis, which is the public television station. I think the beauty of public television, I've always said this, is not NPR, the National Public Broadcasting folks, because they're politically involved. And you try not to be. If you're a public broadcasting station, you want to show all sides of the spectrum. And I always love it when local ETVs, educational television stations, deep dive into their community and bring out, whether it be a show like we're going to see, which is a biography-based show about Dave Brown, or if it's something about maybe a company or a long-standing family in the community. I think that's where they do their best work, not as a politically based anything, but as a community-based organization. And I support educational TV. And in fact, here on Fun Radio and on Fun Media Group, we will actually give public service time to specials or events that public television is about to broadcast, because I think it's in the public good. So with that in mind, I think this is an outstanding opportunity to see what public television does best, and a showcase of a true Memphis and American legend, not only as a commentator, but as a weatherman and as a broadcaster on radio and television, and a very dear friend, Dave Brown.
This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for this program is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to A Conversation with Dave Brown. It's my pleasure to be your host. I'm Tom Prestigiacomo. Born in Trenton, Tennessee, and a career that lasted over 50 years, Dave Brown has gone through radio and television and endeared himself to people in Memphis and throughout West Tennessee, not just with his weather forecast, but the humanity that comes with the man. This guy has a superpower. Dave Brown can make milk and bread disappear from the shelves of Kroger or Cecil's like nobody else. Dave, it's good to have you here. Your weather predictions made people aware and made them just run out and prepare.
Two comments about that. One, how many people actually eat milk sandwiches?
Yeah.
and the second is, you mentioned Cecil's back in the day.
Right.
Well, I got, we had a big 7-inch snow, which I had correctly predicted the night before. And I went out in the lobby that afternoon. Somebody said, somebody has brought something by for you. And there's this huge vase of red roses.
Right.
And I said, wow, I opened the card and it said, thanks, Art Cecil.
Isn't that a wonderful way to go, though? I mean, for you to, and let's start with Trenton, Tennessee. Let's just take it from the very basics. You grew up, how big was Trenton?
5,000 people, roughly.
Okay.
Small town, county seat of Gibson County up in northwest Tennessee. Wonderful town. I still have a home there today. I go up every chance I get.
Excellent.
And it's just an incredible town. It was a great village. That's something that came into politics a few years ago. From the it takes a village type thing. Well, that's kind of what that town was. Everybody knew everybody else. You didn't dare misbehave down the street because they would tell your mom before you got home. And it was just a very warm, loving place. Still is that way a great deal of the way. Also, it made it even more special. My dad died of a brain tumor when I was 10 years old. He and my mom both well loved and respected in that town, and the people just put their arms around us, and that great support, and also the fact that my dad was a great guy and had so many good friends. Even though he was gone, it was almost like my dad was still there as I was growing up. So it's a great town. I love it today.
And in a conversation we had, you said that you started to work when you were 10. Is that about right?
Well, I started to work when I was 10, yeah, with a paper route. Yeah.
So you've been in media all your life.
Well, yeah, sort of. I did take one brief time out. I thought my dad, when he was so sick, we spent a lot of time at the pharmacy because he was on so many medications. Right. And so I decided at one point I wanted to be a pharmacist. And that's probably what I would have pursued. But then at age 15, radio.
15, and how did that happen? You know, I mean.
Well, I fell in love with two things about age 12, Memphis and radio music. Now, I didn't realize how closely the two were connected at that age, but I loved listening to the radio, loved listening to rock and roll on the radio.
So what were your stations when you were growing up before you worked at your first station?
WHBQ in Memphis. And at night, we couldn't get it because they had to cut their power to protect the signal, a clear channel station out of Miami on the same frequency. So at night, WLS Chicago came roaring in. So those were the two, WHBQ in the day, WLS at night.
And your first job at 15 was at what station?
WKBJ in Milan, Tennessee. I was sophomore in high school, and I saw a friend of mine who was working there, and I said, hey, this is great. You get paid for playing records. I play records for nothing at home. And I had to get my own sponsors. I think I had 6 or 7 sponsors that I got. And they paid for my show.
Right, you were on air and in sales.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
I would never have been very successful in sales.
Oh, well, but you got enough sponsors to go.
Got enough sponsors to go.
What songs do you remember playing from that era? What year would that be?
1962.
Okay.
And I remember things. One I remember in particular, I remember a lot. There was some great music for my money in those days. Right. But one I remember particularly was a song that I thought was terrific because of the drum line in it. It was Sheila by Tommy Rowe.
I remember that.
It was a #1 hit. It hit #1 on my birthday, and I got to play it on the air on my own show on my birthday. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass, the Lonely Bull, one of his first big hits.
That's Telstar and Paul and Paula and all of those songs too.
You got it. All of those.
But you left there and then went to another station. In another city.
After about 6-7 months, something like that, I moved 11 miles away to Humboldt, Tennessee. No radio station in my hometown of Trenton at the time.
Right.
So I started in Milan, then moved to Humboldt, and I was over there for about a year and a half. The interesting thing there, the general manager's brother-in-law was a guy named Jack Parnell.
Oh my gosh.
Jack, who was one of my heroes at WHBQ. Jack and I got to be friends, and I remember calling him one night, and I said, look, I'm thinking of going to University of Missouri and study journalism. Right. He said, give it another thought. I said, what do you mean? He said, you should go to Memphis State, and you can major in whatever you want to, and you can work your way through at WHBQ.
Oh my.
Well, it was like, wow. I said, am I good enough to work at WHBQ? He said, yeah, you're good enough. And thanks to him, I was able to do that and work my way through college.
So you graduated from high school in Humboldt?
In Trenton.
In Trenton. Mm-hmm. And then you went from Trenton to Memphis.
To Memphis.
In 1960 what?
1964.
And you started there, and it's amazing that you carried a full-time air shift, right?
I was part-time at first.
Okay.
I think about the first year and a half I was part-time. Then I went full-time. So I was going to school full-time in the daytime and working full-time.
Were they always on Highland?
Yeah, 485 South Highland, where the television station is now. Yeah.
So you would balance class and your show at the same time.
It was walking distance. Oh. You know, it was a quarter mile.
Were the co-eds that you met along the way aware that you were a radio star?
Most were not.
Okay.
No, most of them weren't. A lot of the guys I hung out with were, of course, because they'd want to do something. I said, I can't, I got to go to work.
Okay, so what were your jobs at WHBQ? What shift did you work?
I was a DJ. I worked just about every shift except morning drive. Mm-hmm. I never worked morning drive. We had super morning drive guys in Jack Parnell, and then when he became program director, a guy named Skip Wilkerson.
I remember Skip.
Who was perhaps technically the best DJ as far as mixing that I ever saw. He was terrific.
And that was after Dewey Phillips then, right? So Dewey had come and gone?
Yeah, Dewey had come and gone. I never really heard Dewey on the radio very much. One thing, I was young. I was only 8 years old when he played the first Elvis record. And but I knew the history there. Right. But I did see him on TV. You know, he had a show on Channel 13, WHBQ TV, in the afternoons for a while. And I saw him on there and thought it was the wildest thing I had ever seen.
Is that what piques your curiosity, to be able to translate radio into television, or the possibilities?
Not really. I don't think I ever really made that much of the connection. Again, I didn't hear him on the radio that much, so I thought it was just something strange that people, and it was, that they put on every afternoon.
Was the radio station and the television station in the same building?
Same building, yeah.
So how did you matriculate from one to the other?
Well, I was on the air doing my show one afternoon, and Lance Russell, who was program manager and also the host of the wrestling show. The Lance Russell, came by and he said, Davey, he said, I got a guy who's been helping me out on the wrestling show. He's leaving, and I need somebody to help me out. He said, I've been watching you work and know a little bit about you and listening to you on the air. And he said, I think you'd be good at it. I'd like you to join me. He said, I don't know if you like wrestling or hate wrestling or where it is, but let me give you some advice. If you ever think you might want to work in television at all, you should take this job, because you'll find out if you like television, and you'll find out if television likes you. Mm-hmm. I did, thank goodness.
And who were your first wrestlers?
Oh, gee, I guess back in the day, Fabulous Jackie Fargo, Tojo Yamamoto, there were a bunch of other guys like that. And of course, Jackie Fargo was getting to the point where his career had peaked. He wasn't ready to retire, but he had peaked. And he took this kid named Jerry Lawler under his wing.
And Jerry went to Treadwell High School?
Yeah. Treadwell Eagles, yeah. And he would send in, he's a great cartoonist. And he would send Jerry Lawler. And he would send in cartoons to Lance of what had happened on the previous week's wrestling. And Lance started showing them on TV, and one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, the king is born.
Is born, no question about it. I want to talk a lot about wrestling, and let's come back to that, because everybody's going to want to hear about that. Yeah. Tell me how you made the transition from wrestling to weather.
Okay, I was doing the wrestling show while I was still working at the radio station, And it got to the point where I said, you know, I do like this TV thing a little bit. So I was talking to Lance one day, not during the wrestling show. I went to his office and I said, I'm thinking maybe I'd like to try television if you ever have anything open. He said, well, he said, strange you should mention that, because come October, I am going to have we're going to do Dialing for Dollars. He said, it's a syndicated thing. We'll need somebody to do it for us, and I'll hire him on as a staff announcer. And are you interested in that? And I said, absolutely. So we got together on that.
Explain the mechanics of Dialing for Dollars for people who watched and tried to win.
Yeah. We would take the phone book, the Memphis Metro phone book, and we would cut it up into little slivers. And they would have anywhere from 7 to 10, 12 names on each little piece of paper. Put it in a big barrel, do that, pull a slip out, and the count, say the count was down 3. So we start at the top and go down 1, 2, 3. That's the name we're going to call.
And you did that on the air? Or?
On the air, live, no delay.
Isn't that amazing?
And so we would call, and if the people first answered the phone,
right,
and no cell phones in those days, it was all landlines, and then if they knew the count was down 3 and how much money was in the jackpot, if they knew the count and amount, then they won the jackpot.
The count and the amount.
Yeah, we gave away a lot of money. And just bought an audience. We were running movies that probably cost the television station $5 a run, and you know, spent a little money on giving away the jackpot, and it was a real moneymaker from 9 till 11 every morning.
I was going to ask, how many times in that 2-hour period did you give away money or try to give away money?
It would depend. It would depend on the length of the movie.
Right.
Usually, as I recall, it would be at least 3 times and sometimes 4 or 5. Sometimes you'd get real short movies in, so I'd need to fill more time to fill the 2 hours. So we just make more calls.
Were you surprised at the people who recognized you from more so from television than radio?
Yes. It was quite different, because on radio I never tried to project, you know, that, you know, you should know me when you see me on the street type thing. But on television, it just happens.
Right.
And it was pretty amazing. That started when I started doing wrestling.
And when you walk into Kroger, people know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And there's.
But you know, the great thing, over the years, I've had many people say, I feel like you're a member of my family, which I think is the greatest compliment that anyone could pay me, because it says we're comfortable having you in our home, even only by TV.
But you bring valuable information. I mean, you know, it's funny how weather affects us all, and knowing where it is. Let me go back to promotions and things like that. You also took a job for a little while. You did, when you were in radio, you were Bill Dance's first audio engineer, is that correct?
Yeah, that's after I'd already moved into television. I came over to television as host of the Dialing for Dollars movie, but my title was staff announcer. I did not work in the news department. I worked in programming department. So I was an audio engineer / staff announcer. So I would run the audio board at various times during the day when I wasn't doing Dialing for Dollars. And Bill had been to several television stations, and he was turned down. And he went to Lance Russell, and Lance says, hey, you know, Lance was a fisherman. Right. And he said, you may be onto something here. Here's what you need to do, da-da-da-da. And Bill did it. So the first ever Bill Dance show, I was the guy who was working the audio, opening his microphone. Bill and I joke about that to this day.
Were you on location or in a set?
In the studio.
Oh,
it was all done in studio. Yeah. Yeah. They would, in those days it was film. There was no digital, no videotape even that was being shot in those days. It was all film. So they would shoot the show on 16 millimeter film, and then it would be edited, actually cut and spliced.
In-house.
In-house. And then, of course, now he has his own production facility and all sorts of stuff.
All right, let's talk about that technology. Are you amazed at the changes that you went through from 16 millimeter developing to yourself with all the chemicals laying around to being able to take out your phone and have just as good a quality now that...
Exactly. A lot of video that goes on local television stations these days, high definition video shot on an iPhone. It's just tremendous. And we can do so much more now. We can take people right to what is going on, rather than just tell them about it or show them something that happened 6-8 hours ago.
And it's immediate. Everything is just, it's right there. You just plug in and go.
Now, not only that, we let them know on Twitter and Facebook that we've got it, so to tune right now, and then you've got what's going on.
I'm going to get ahead of myself because I want to save that for the end of it. You embraced social media faster than anybody else, I think, in the buildings over there.
Well, I've always kind of been a geek.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. When you did your first weathercast at WHBQ, that was what year?
That was 1972, May of '72.
Tell me about your map and everything that was part of that.
The map was metal.
Okay.
It was with a map of the United States painted on metal on the wall. And we had the same material. If you go to your refrigerator and look at the back of it, that refrigerator magnet, that's the same material that we used. And the art department would cut out these pressed board symbols.
Clouds and sunshine.
Clouds, cold fronts, highs, lows, all of that. And they would paint them appropriately and then put these magnets on the back. So we would just stick them on the wall and then we could move them around all we wanted to. But that's the way it was when I started, magnetic.
I saw somebody who had like color forms, those old plastic things. I worked at a station in Louisville that had some of those.
Yeah. After that, the computer generation came in. The first computers that we had were pretty rudimentary.
Right.
First one I had was color,
right.
But you couldn't do a whole heck of a lot with it. And then it progressed and progressed and progressed, and they're just tremendously sophisticated now. As computing power has gotten better, weather presentation has gotten better, as well as weather forecast. The bigger, more powerful computers, if they can run more and more information in a short period of time, you get better forecast.
All right, so you came up as a baby weather guy, and you were there for what, 5 years at WHBQ, or 3 years before you came to Channel 5?
Well, I was 13 altogether, radio and TV.
Okay.
I was doing weather there for 5 years when I came over to Channel 5. The wrestling show got canceled at Channel 13 due to political division in the wrestling company.
Okay.
And we were owned by a company in New York, and the lawyers in New York said, cancel the whole thing, we're not getting in the middle of that.
Wow.
Dumbest move they could have possibly made. They had no understanding of the power that wrestling show had. But it worked out very well for all of us concerned, because we went over to Channel 5 and it just became legendary there.
Who was general manager at that time? Was that Maury Greiner?
Maury Greiner, yeah. Mr. Love Maury Greiner, great guy.
And so he brought you guys as a package then?
Sort of. He brought the wrestling show over, and Jerry Jarrett says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hire Lance Russell to help us run the company. He won't work for the television station anymore. Okay. He'll work for us. And he said, I think we can get Dave Brown over here for you too. Well, that was interesting, I found out later on, because they never talked to me about that. But anyway, it did work out. Channel 5 needed a weather person at the time, and they had Dick Hawley doing double duty. He was doing news and weather.
This is a great part of this story.
Not the ideal situation. So they needed somebody to do weather. I was established, so we were able to get together on cash. And
were newscasts at that time 15 minutes still, or had they expanded to the half hour?
They had already expanded the half hour and an hour in the early evening. We were at Channel 13, and we were on 6 to 7, and at Channel 5 we were on from 5 to 6 p.m., a solid hour.
Was the format the same at WHBQ for wrestling and the same at Channel 5, or did it expand or change?
It expanded, it grew, it changed, it blossomed with the creativity. It was fine at Channel 13, and yet it developed there too, but it really exploded when it got to Channel 5.
Were you regional at Channel 13? Because when you were at Channel 5, you had other markets that these shows ran in. So maybe the show that you recorded live at Channel 5 would be shown the next week in another market.
Say Louisville.
Well, I grew up watching you, and I don't want to tell you that.
Louisville, Lexington, Nashville, Jackson, Tennessee. I think we were in 6 or 7 markets, but not at Channel 13. That all happened at Channel 5 when Lance came to work over there. And that was one thing he did, was get us other television stations. At one point, the show was seen in over 60 markets nationwide.
Wow.
Including places like Atlanta and Kansas City. Now here's the thing, it wasn't seen at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, and many of those have seen 2 o'clock in the morning. And so it didn't pick up a national following.
Were they edited? Let me go in that direction then. There were regional hotbeds for wrestling, right?
Yes.
That this kind of program that Lance created was recreated in other markets?
Yeah.
Or did he get the idea from somebody else and decide to expand it here?
Well, it was developing in all across the country. It was territorial. In those days, the country was divided up into territories. The North Carolina people didn't encroach on the Memphis people, and vice versa, and the Florida people and Louisiana people. So the country was all pretty well divided up with these guys, and together they made up the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, and that's where that came from. And they would get together and have meetings every so often. And for instance, we would have a guy that was worn out here, basically. Right. He wasn't drawing much anymore because everybody had seen him 25 times. So they'd say, hey, why don't you loan me so-and-so, and I'll send him to Florida.
They would trade.
We would trade and build audience there, this guy would wear out his welcome. He'd go somewhere else. And
Macho Man Randy Savage comes to mind in those. And you tell me the names. I don't want to tell you mine.
Oh, wow, there's so many. All the big names that people heard of in the early days of the WWE, then called the WWF, most of them came through here. Right. Not Andre the Giant and people like that, but for instance, Randy Macho Man Savage. He came out of actually Lexington, Kentucky.
I remember him.
And worked for us. A guy named Kurt Angle, who was a star 20 years ago, something like that. He started here.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan wrestled here, yeah. The Undertaker. Yep. Several of those guys like that. And a guy named Hulk Hogan.
Right.
He started here as Terry Bollea, his real name. And I don't believe we ever called him Hulk. I think he was Terry Hogan, maybe, or something like that.
Right.
But I don't remember for sure. But I think he became the Hulk when he.
I think he's not correct on that, by the way.
Arguably the biggest wrestling star, equal to say a Muhammad Ali,
right,
in the world of boxing.
Some experts called you and Lance Russell working together the greatest wrestling announcer team in history, which is flattering, I'm sure, and I'm sure you would defer. But tell me about doing. First of all, you do weather 7 days a week, because if it stormed on Sunday, you came back in, didn't you?
Yeah. You could never do it today. Right. You would never be allowed to do it today. But for some reason, I started doing wrestling, and then I started doing weather. And I asked Lance, I said, "Do I have to give up wrestling?" He said, "No." Yeah. And for some reason, people accepted the fact that I was giving them weather information, meteorology during the week, and then on Saturday I was doing this other thing. I think the one thing that may help,
Randy, if we could pause here,
let me develop my
let me find the pause.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Let me minimize this, and so
I think he's making a fabulous point here. And I don't know, how long ago was this shot? Do you remember? Was this like 4 or 5 years ago?
Maybe a little longer than that, but not too far, because it said on the font that he had already retired from Channel 5.
Right. He makes a great point here in that back in those days, both in radio and wrestling, that you could wear many hats. But I want you to think about this. I want our audience to think about this. And I always did this with Coyote McLeod, with Glenn Beck, with my morning shows with Stephen DC, is to try to put them in front of other media as not a DJ, but in a different form. Rick Idle, who was with me in St. Louis, who was Todd Newton was in Todd Newton on E! Entertainment TV. We got him on a show on Channel 5 in St. Louis to bolster what he did at night on Q104. And so I think that's a great point of this precursed that by many years, by decades, of how smart Lance Russell was as a program director, taking his talent and putting them in another genre, which allowed which allowed people to look at them in a light of credibility that even added to his credibility as a wrestling announcer. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Credibility that he established as a weatherman, and everybody believed the weatherman, especially Dave Brown, because Dave Brown was right most of the time, long before satellites. So Dave Brown, and he's well respected in the meteorological world. I can assure you, I know several guys that have worked in our companies, Ron Howes in Nashville, James Paul Dice in Birmingham at Channel 6, our own meteorologist here at Way TV. He has that credibility factor, immense credibility as a weatherman. Well, think about what that did when people saw him on the weather, when they turned around and saw him on Championship Wrestling, and added to the credibility not only of Dave Brown, but as to what Memphis Wrestling credibility became.
Just very interesting. And one comment he made that I wanted to ask, it's two comments I want to say. First of all, Dave said you couldn't get away with that today. And so I don't think anymore the way the world is. If you go by TV5, I don't know about the TV stations there where you are in Alabama. If you go to Channel 5, it's like Fort Knox. There's fences and gates all around it. The audience could freely, literally for free, come into that TV station on Saturday morning. I don't think that the public would be allowed in mass, in groups like several hundred people come into the television station. And I don't think a television station would want their weather forecaster or their news people to be on the wrestling show. Dave said they wouldn't allow it. Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, 2 points. Number one, to your first point, you're absolutely correct because of heightened security of so many wackos out there that, I never thought in any live TV wrestling show I ever did that there was a chance that somebody was going to pull a gun. I never thought of it. Never crossed my mind. Now, would people get passionate and get upset and get worked up? You betcha. But it never got to a point of people going off the side of the world. And that, I think, is problem number one. I think problem number two, what you mentioned, is the fact that now in the days of everybody's got their own television camera right here. That's their own TV camera. And everybody is a star. All you have to do is look at any, and in fact, you can look at any TikTok or whatever fad is, Instagram, whatever, and everybody's got their own TV persona or their own on phone podcast persona. And I think what Dave is saying is absolutely correct. I don't think that it would hold water. I don't think the credibility factor would be there anymore, because credibility has gone from watching Dave Brown give the weather and knowing that he is the authority on weather to the fact that everybody that's on Facebook is an authority on weather.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? So the point he's making, I agree 100%. And to the point you made about the studio, can a live studio wrestling show be pulled off? I think it could, but you're going to have to go through security like you go through at the airport to ever get an audience anymore.
Right. It's interesting. And so with about 6 or 7 minutes to go in this video, I think, guessing. But what have you learned thus far that you didn't know? Did you know Dave lost his father early on in life?
That I was going to bring that up. No, I did not. That is the one revelation I've heard that I had never heard before. And Dave and I had a lot of chance to many opportunities to being together to talk and to talk personally and get to know each other and share stories and share our careers. What was funny is when I first worked with Dave one Saturday, I mentioned the fact that when I was in college as a freshman, a good friend of mine, Bob Langstaff, who had a small studio in Nashville, who had graduated at Vanderbilt and had run WRVU radio, as I was doing at the time, we made a road trip to Memphis, down I-40. One day, we just left at 7 o'clock in the morning to visit. We went and visited WHBQ. We visited WMC. We visited WREC, which was in the Peabody Hotel at the time. WMPS, which was one on 310 Union in the little theater, in the old theater building there, and even visited WDIA. And we did, that was what we were. We were geeks and then we visited a couple of tower sites while we were there. And on the way home was listening to WHBQ as far as we could take it, because like Dave said, they're directional at night, you could lose it quick. And there was a night guy on that we were listening to at the time, and this was about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, named Dave Brown. And I had recorded him on a little cassette player in the car. I had recorded the show as far as we could take it. And I went, now, wait a minute. Dave, and he made mention that he was on WHBQ radio and started as a DJ before he went into TV. And I went, and it all connected. It was like, that Dave Brown that I was recording in Bob Langstaff's Cutlass in 1970 is the Dave Brown that I'm working with right now. And we had a great laugh about that.
Small world.
It's small world, but what a great, and you make a great point. This guy is a total professional. And the one thing I love about this show, he hasn't lost my attention one time, and neither has Tom Prestigiacomo. Every question has been right on point, and every question has been answered. This could never make it in the political world.
No, not at all. And it's just amazing. And that's last week, Adam found a video, the history of Channel 5, the history, the whole television station, Channel 5. That was interesting. I think our audience loves the memories of going back and this wild interview or this wild match or this world title match. But at the same time, when you get the personal stuff, personal issues draw money. the personal interview of Dave. I think our audience, you've been with Dave personally, and I've been with Dave personally, and that sort of thing. The audience just sees him on the weather and sees him that. He's a likable son of a gun, Michael.
He is, and I always loved working it, and I always told both of them, and God rest his soul, Lance Russell, I never felt not at ease, either in the back before we went on camera or any time while doing the show on camera, was I ever not at ease sitting in a chair next to people that I deemed as my heroes or my mentors or people that I looked up to as wrestling commentators. Never once did either one of them make me feel in a diminished role. And both of them were as easy to work with as riding a bicycle. And I know that's an old cliche, but when I'd get on with Dave Brown and we'd go we wouldn't miss a step. When I'd get on with Lance Russell, we wouldn't miss a step. And I go back and watch some of these videos. People watch different videos that came out of that era. When I watch them, I'm listening to me and the banter, the intercommunication banter between me and Lance or me and Dave. And what's funny about them, there's very few times, and it's not because of me, it's because of them. Very few times did I step on them or did they step on me. And we worked like tandem. In tandem bikes or rowing a boat. And it amazes me, not that I was any good, but it amazes me of how well that came together, where I might just do a show once every 3 months or so with these guys, or I may do it for, 6 months every Saturday for 6 months in a row. It didn't matter. It was just like when you got back with them and you got on set and you got going with the show, they made it easy. They made it easy.
It's about 5.5 minutes before left in this video. You ready to listen to the conclusion of the conversation with Dave Brown? I will go up with that and start the video now. Conversations with Dave Brown on Talking Memphis Wrestling. We continue this interview right now. Michael and I will be back after this video and we'll comment if something comes up.
Tell me about if it's a role, let's call it a role and see.
Well, it was me, but it was also a role.
Right. Like Stephen Colbert.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. Except mine, my whole thing was I worked for the television station. Therefore, you can't do that because that's going to affect negatively on the television station. So that was kind of my role, kind of to bring some, just slow it down a little bit and bring a little bit of organization to what otherwise was chaos.
I got you. And you were so clean about it. You just, but you never did you ever get punched?
No.
Okay.
No, never did.
Lance got punched, right?
Well, not really. He got pushed around. They ripped his suit off one day.
Right.
Jimmy Hart dumped a bag of flour over his head. That was a giant mess to clean up. And let me tell you, I think they gave the cleanup crew $25 extra.
And Jerry Lawler, or not Jerry Lawler, who was the manager? I can't think.
Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart called you Dave Brown the Weather Clown.
Dave Brown the Weather Clown, and he called. Lawler started calling Lance Banana Nose.
Right. I remember that very well.
Somehow it stuck.
All the stuff we've got about 5 minutes left to talk. Please talk about your family for a minute.
I have a great family.
You have a beautiful family. Margaret is a saint. I mean,
and she says, "Tell you hello." By the way,
she
is doing great. She is a saint. She's put up with me for all these years. We've been married 48 years
what a schedule
as of this date, and I have 3 tremendous daughters. One, of course, I lost in the drunk driving crash. A drunk driver killed one of them and her 2 children. But I also have 4 wonderful grandchildren today. They're almost grown, but they are just, my family is the light of my life, always has been. My daughters that are still with us, Denise and Carmen, are something very, very special. And it's been good.
It's been a month since you've retired. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Are they surprised to have you around the house now?
Well, one thing is sealed the deal. I was talking to Carmen, and I said, look, I've decided that I'm going to hang it up at the end of August. And I wanted you to know before all of this press release and stuff started going out. I said, we've been talking about this for 3 years. You know some of that, but I've decided this is going to be it. And she says, great, now I've shared my dad with the rest of the world for 38 years, and now I can have him all to myself.
That's excellent.
I said, that sealed the deal right there.
And with all of these 7-day weeks that you worked for years, for decades, Dave, you still found time to have hobbies. You're a St. Louis Cards fan.
Big Cardinals fan.
Are you going to buy season tickets next year?
No.
Okay.
No. But I'm going to see a lot more Grizzlies, Memphis Tigers. I've already been to a couple of more football games and things like that.
You're a coin collector, is that correct?
Yeah, I used to be much more active than I was. Started when I was in the 8th grade. A history professor, a history teacher got me hooked on that. I don't have anything very valuable. I just love it for the history of it. And the valuable stuff you don't ever get to play with much because you have to keep it in the bank.
And you're a train geek, is that a fair thing to say? How did you get involved in trains?
I'm not sure. When my dad died, a week after my dad died, there was a giant train wreck on the Gulf Mobile and Ohio Railroad, which ran through Trenton. And after school let out, we only went to school a half day, the final day of school, and my best buddy and I went down and just watched them clean that up all day long. And somehow I became fascinated with railroads and GM&O, and I've got a model layout at my house, and just my grandchildren and I were playing with it a little bit over the weekend.
We're inside of 2 minutes. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
Oh, me. Well,
Mothers Against Drunk Driving?
Mothers Against Drunk Driving has become a passion. I just participated in a walk over the weekend to help fundraise there. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, I am a member of. I don't speak on their behalf. I speak for myself, but I believe in what they're saying. And I think they get a huge amount of the credit for when I started speaking out 18 years ago, 17,000 Americans were dying in drunk driving crashes every year. That number's down to 11,000.
That's wonderful.
But that's still not near enough. We got a long way to go. And what we've got to do is change society and make it totally unacceptable. We've got things like these rideshare programs and the ones you can call on your telephone. I think that's going to go a long way. I know some of this younger generation, and that's what they do. They spend the $20 or $30, they go out and have a big time, and they don't worry about hurting themselves or somebody else.
And programs like Uber and Lyft are coming along.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
I appreciate you being here. It's been absolutely wonderful to sit across from you, and I wish we had an hour program instead of just this 30 minutes.
Always fun to be with you. I remember our great times we had on New Year's Eve.
He's Dave Brown, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll find him anywhere he wants to be because he's retired now. I'm Tom Prestigiacomo. I hope we've enjoyed our conversation with Dave Brown. We'll see you again.
Now, and I'm blurry, I got to fix that. First of all, we've shown a lot of stuff on this program over the years. Did you have chills all the way through that?
I wasn't real emotional until the very end when he started talking about his daughter, and having been there and been the man that sat in his seat because of his daughter being killed the night before by a drunk driver. And then it sort of hit home. Golly, I'll never forget that day as long as I live. I got the call. I wasn't supposed to be on TV. I wasn't supposed to even be in Memphis, and got the call from Jerry Jarrett very, very late on Friday night. Wanted to know if I could be at the Shell station at the end of Cumberland Hills Drive and Gallatin Road at 5:25 when Eddie and he left for Memphis every Saturday. And he told me what had happened. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. I'll do anything you need me to do. And I went, and that was a very, very somber. Everybody in the dressing room was very quiet. It was very, there was a cloud hanging over there. There's the pall hanging over. And we went through and did the show and did the show. It came off as a wrestling show, as professionals do. And those professional wrestlers and the Lance Russell of the professional that he is and was, it came off. But after it was all over with, I think we all breathed a sigh of relief. Wow, we don't have to do that again. But then our thoughts turned in whether in prayer or in thought with Dave. And the fact that what Dave was going through. But hearing that just sort of brought that back. But that's an incredible career. Dave Brown is an incredible man, and that's an incredible career.
Very interesting show. Very interesting show. Second week in a row, it's just been Michael St. John and Randy Dandy. The eve before my birthday, But it's been a great show and a fun show, an exciting show. Second week in a row that we haven't done the cards of the week, but we said it last week, Dave. When you tell your story, you tell your story, and I think we've told our story, don't you?
I do, and I agree. I have one question, and I'm actually going to pose this to you and the audience as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a new microphone here.
Oh no, I did not.
And,
now let me smarten the people up. Now, Adam and I, after every show, has a production meeting after we go up there. Now, Michael, and then most of the panel members, as soon as the show's over, y'all go away just immediately. Well, I got a text. Michael was fired up on last week's show. So first thing, Michael sent me a pretty lengthy text saying, I love the show, blah, 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 blah. Then Michael called Adam. I don't know if you knew, but when you called Adam and I were still not on the air, but we were still together doing our production meeting. So I heard every word you said. Finally, I wrote Adam a note, and I said, I got to go to bed. But that conversation, it's a funny story. You were asking Adam about his microphone. His response was funny, and you got a big pop about it. But I think the people are interested in how we interact. Explain that and explain your microphone and talk about the new stuff.
Well, last week, for whatever reason, I thought that Adam's microphone sounded fabulous. And I called him up, and come to find out it was a microphone on his phone. I mean, on his
webcam.
Webcam, you know. I'm like, really? I spend $500 for a microphone and $800 for a processor from my good friend Catfish in Franklin, Tennessee, who owns Angry Audio. Great guy, wrestling fan. And I can't sound as good as Adam does. Now, of course, Adam has a better voice. I'll admit that. Most people in the world have a better voice. But I have to use the bells and whistles and the tricks of the trade to make my voice sound more professional, right? So I got to studying about it and talked to Adam a couple of times after you and I spoke, and ended up, I bought this microphone at the start of football season and put it in one of our studios at the station. And I did a show yesterday. I pre-taped a morning show that's going to air next Friday of a reunion show with the first partner I had on the Funhouse morning show in 1997-89. And we hadn't been on the radio together since. She manages several radio stations over in the Fort Payne area in the northeast Alabama. And she's won several awards, very prominent broadcaster, Jenna Sue Payne. And we decided we were going to do a reunion show in prelude of our Christmas live show that we have everybody come in. We just have a party for 4 hours and have fun talking on the radio a couple of days before Christmas. So we started taping the show yesterday. She's on this mic, and I'm on my old Shure that was just like the one that hung here.
Now, let me break in. When did you get that mic? I can see right now. When did you get that?
This mic was bought in August for Fun 92.7 on air for our broadcast in our studio there.
Okay.
But I had two. This is the SM7MB digital or whatever. And the rest of our studios, we all have the Shure 7B, which is a standard microphone in radio broadcasting for the last 30 years. At least. So anyway, after hearing Adam's mic and then talking to him and no processor on it. So he's got a $3 mic on a webcam, on a $50 webcam that sounds much better than what I've got. So I just went on a mission to sound better. And I'm hoping that people will agree that our microphone here in this studio now sounds better. But this microphone didn't match the others that were at the station because they were older. And the one I used to have here in the studio here was that same age. So I took that one back to the station and brought this one here. So now all the microphones on the radio on all the stations here sound the same and sound good because we have better processors than the $801 one I bought here. And I brought this newer one, this new digital one here, and it just gives my voice a little bit more presence that I can hear, and I'm hoping that you guys can.
It's fantastic. So how much... You have a home studio, and we see that every week here. How much recording, or you have the capabilities. You could go live on the radio station right now, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to try to put, well, I don't know if I can pick this up or not, but I'm going to try to show you something. Maybe I'll do it loose in this. This is a unit. I don't know. It's still a little tight. Well, maybe not. This is a little unit. Hold on. One more thing. This is not affecting anything that we're doing or anything any of the stations are doing, so I can take this apart and show people. This is a unit called a tie line. It is connected with a Cat 5 cable to our internet. And this little unit allows me to broadcast anywhere in the world via the internet, studio quality. For what you're hearing tonight on the broadcast, you hear on all of our stations, whether there are Tennessee stations or any of the stations here in Alabama. This little unit is what I use every morning to connect to our Tennessee stations to do live breaks, to connect to our Alabama stations to do live breaks. And I'm doing it most of the time in my bathrobe, sitting in this chair here in the studio. So by this little unit, this tie line unit, and this thing is about, I can tell you how old it was. So I bought this put my glasses on.
Okay.
There you go. I bought this in 2006. And it's a little mini computer basically, and we've had several upgrades to it. And you update the software and the firmware and all that good stuff, and it's still studio quality. I could go on the air if it was just audio, and this show was just me and you audio wise. I could go on with you on that, and it would sound just like it sounds right now. And I've done that very many times on podcasts and things like that. But that's sort of to pull the curtain back. That's sort of that's the Oz behind what we do.
Well, first of all, don't forget when you're in your bathrobe in the morning, don't forget to plug that sucker back on, or you won't be broadcasting to your station. So how you have a regular radio building with your radio station there, how much do you work there at the building, at the office, at the studio, compared to how much you do work there where you do this show every week?
Well, first of all, I want to give credit to a woman that you met her, so you know who she is. I don't think she's ever shown her face on this show, even though she's brought food down here to me and whatever. But my wife, Melanie St. John, is the general manager and the president of all of our Fun Media Group stations. As I like to say, and I say it more often than not, I'm the mouth and she's the business. And so she's behind the scenes, selling the advertising, scheduling the commercials, working up promotions, scheduling the rotation of where the logs run, and so forth. She does all the hard work, she's the backbone of our company, and I run my mouth. But 4 years ago, as you well know, 4 years ago this Christmas, as you well know, I was in the hospital with COVID and nearly died. And after that, I decided, well, it'd be best if I turned everything over and let Melanie run the business. We have an excellent operations manager, vice president of operations named Adam Ward. Adam Ward, who is a minister at the Flat Rock Baptist Church. That's his church over in Rainsville, Alabama, and drives to work about 40 minutes every day to and from. And he is our operations manager for all of our stations. So he does all the day-to-day programming work. So what I am relegated to is doing morning show cut-ins, live, if you would, live breaks that make us live on, what happened. If there's a car wreck, I'm there talking about it. If there's Alabama gets voted into the playoff, we're there talking about it firsthand, all that kind of stuff. It makes us more live and local with that. And I do that. The majority of that, probably 90% of that, is done here in this studio. Now, if there is a weather situation coming, especially with tornadoes, I will go to our Fun 92.7 studio, which is the station you see up there right now, and we get together as we did in 2011 for 6 days and 6 nights and broadcast nonstop tornado information, whatever is needed to be broadcast. So that is done from the studio. We still have a couple of live shows there. Archie Anderson on WREB 107 FM, our country station, does a live show every day and when I say every day, Monday through Sunday, from 9 until 10. He also does high school basketball here and so forth. So, I mean, we still have a radio station that we do radio station stuff at, but my studio is sort of if you would, the satellite studio for Fun Media Group, whether I'm connected with our Tennessee stations, WTNK, Fun 93.5 and 93.9 out of Hartsville, Tennessee, or whether it's Fun 92.7 out of ARAB, Huntsville, Alabama, or 104.9 in Decatur, Alabama, or WRAB, which is our country station in ARAB and Gunnersville and Albertville, whatever station it is, I can connect with. But the magic of radio. Now, I wanted to show you this. This little box back in 2006 cost right at $6,000. Okay, got me?
Yes.
All right. This is my phone. On my phone is an app that is called Report It Live. There it is. Let me see if I get the home screen up to show. Well, it won't show you the tile, but it's the little guy holding up the microphone, the little blue guy. Right there.
Uh-huh.
I can connect right now. I'm connecting, and I'm not on the air. I'm in queue, though, at the studio at Fun 92.7. Studio quality, just like I am right now, live from my phone. App's $259, and you own it for life. That thing was $6,000 20 years ago. So that's how far electronics have come.
Now, this is with the Dave interview. We were really, and I'm passionate to broadcasting. Even though it's up on the screen, tell our audience if they want to listen to Fun Radio and some of that's up there, explain to them the best way to find you on the World Wide Web.
Well, believe it or not, the best way is free on any of your smart devices, whether it be an iPhone, a Google phone, whatever phone you have, or iPad, or any pad or laptop or anything. We have this app right there. It's right there.
Right.
And it comes up, and then across the top are all of our stations. There's WRAB, which is our classic country. I'm not a weather guy, so I'm working backwards here. But all of our stations are right across this. There, the one in purple is our Tennessee station. But all of our formats and all our stations right there. All you have to do is tap it, and hopefully we can hear it play. It's streaming live. Let me see if I can turn it up. And as I say that, it's not playing. Oh, let's see why. Well, it does work, I'm telling you, but for some reason it's not.
Tell me, Randy Hales, how Randy Hales can find that app.
All right, just go onto your app store and type in Fun Media Group app, Fun Media Group app, or Fun 92.7 app, and it'll come up. You download it, it's free, and you can listen anytime. And on top of that, at the bottom of the screen there, fun927.com, funradioal.com. We are live and streaming on all of those platforms. Fun927.com is Fun927 Classic Top 40. Funradioal.com is 104.9. Same format. Funradiotn.com, same format, but in Tennessee. The one that's not up there is WREBradio.com, which is our classic country. So it's all up there on the Fun Media Group app for you.
That is fantastic. Now, as far as Michael St. John, and a lot of veteran people are usually slow to the dance. When did you buy into apps? When did you do your business and put it where everybody can get a hold of it?
Well, we were the first radio station in Alabama that had an app, and that was in 2002.
You're kidding.
No, we were the first station in Alabama to have the app, or have an app, and we streamed originally with a company called Live 365, and they had just come on board, and so we were on with that, and then we left that platform when we realized that we couldn't control our own programming because they would break in with their commercials or so forth and so on. And sometimes the bandwidth would get narrow because they had a national platform. So we teamed with a computer company here in town. And of course, you got to realize that Huntsville's one of the biggest tech cities, if you would, in America, next to Silicon Valley and the Research Triangle of Carolina.
NASA, for Christ's sake, is in Huntsville.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So we get things first. And I always joke about my hometown in Huntsville. You know, we have double-A minor league baseball. We have a great hockey team, a minor league hockey team. We have a great symphony orchestra. We have Broadway Theater League. None of it sells out. But by golly, the new iPhone or the new iPad or the new iWatch goes on sale, and people camp out at Bridge Street in front of the Apple Store. We're the smallest city in America that has an Apple Store. We'll camp out for the Apple Store for 48 hours to be first in line to have the new whatever. So that sort of gives you the lay of the land of the community of where people are thinking here. So it made sense for us to jump in the app situation early.
Hey, this has been a great show. Final words, Michael St. John. This has been a blast. And how you enjoying just the two of us, man?
I enjoy it, Randy. You know that. First of all, I want to thank you for everything you do and putting this show together. And I know we're missing Adam and a couple other moving parts today, but they're all very, very important to you. I will on my final, and I was going to mention this early on, but I was late. Again, please forgive me for that. I'll try to do better. But I had two contacts today that I haven't had in years. And one of them was a wrestling contact. Actually, I talked to two old wrestling contacts, one of which I hadn't talked to since Bobby Eaton passed. And that was the man that trained Bobby Eaton, Arvil Hutto. Yeah. And Arvil is doing well. And he and I swore we're going to have lunch next week on my trip to Tennessee. He lives up in the Hazel Green area of Madison County, north of Huntsville, and I have to pass that way going to Hartsville. So he and I are going to get together and share some old thoughts and all that good stuff. So shout out to Arvil Hutto. And the other person I connected with today, and you're going to like this, Randy, and we're going to talk about this for some future show connections, was George Goulas. And I found out that George is living in Gallatin, Tennessee, living 15 minutes from Fun 93.5 and 93.9 FM in Hartsville. And it was great connecting with him. And he's doing a lot. He's refereeing high school basketball and girls basketball and softball for his 41st year. He's married.
Talk to George?
He's married and living in Gallatin, and we're going to get together in the next week or so. And I'm really looking forward to it. Yes. I'm going to send you some pictures as well.
You know what? Somebody on Twitter, some historian asked sent Pat a private message and asked Pat, said, I would love to be able to talk to George Goulas. And Pat said, well, contact Michael St. John. Said, I think Michael has his number. So Pat had just mentioned that the other day.
Well, in fact, I did talk to Pat, and that sort of triggered this whole thing. And I had George's information, and the gentleman that had contacted Pat, I happen to know we worked together in the same company out of St. Louis years ago. And I told Pat, I said, well, I've got his number, but I don't want to share it until I talk to him, because George is a very private person, right. and well, he should be. And so anyway, I reached out. I reached out and called the number I had, and it was disconnected. I went, oh no. So I had one other number, and I called it and got an answer machine. And I said, if this is George Goulas, we haven't talked in years, but we need to talk. It's Michael St. John. And it wasn't 30 seconds after that, boom. And so it was a lot of fun hearing from George. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him and talking to him and getting caught up. But, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm going to pontificate here for a minute. In our wrestling business, we are going through we're going through an era right now where we're losing a lot of people, Randy, our age, in our age group, that were tantamount in the wrestling territories back in the day. And with them are losing the history and the stories, not as much some of the film and the matches, but more so the behind the scenes, the stories, the riding down the road stories that we used to share in the cars, right? We're losing that. And I want to reach out, and I'm going to try to reach out. And one of the reasons I want to talk to George is to reach out to Scott Teal, who has done a fabulous job
with books,
and the historical perspective. But we need some kind of, I think the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame may be a possibility, or maybe a very integral part of this, where we need to put those stories together, whether it's on a website or whether it's on a pay-per-view or wherever it might be, an app or whatever, where people can go back and hear not only the stories, but perhaps hear the stories in the people who made the histories' voices.
Right.
And I would love to see us as a group with Memphis, with our Talking Memphis Wrestling program, get together and not only archive these shows, which I know you and Adam do a fabulous job of, but also create a historical perspective, because we've been through the histories. We've been done, year to year as to what's going on. But these things need to be saved and need to be archived in a place where people can get to them and listen to them or hear them. And that's sort of the driving force right now inside of me, that we lost another wrestler. Well, he was a job guy for Nick, and out of Birmingham. He used the name The Great Kaiser down there. Big guy. Knew him when I did some work with Linda Marks and Wrestle Birmingham back in the first part of this century. Really nice guy. Was always sort of a job guy, but trained several people and got into and was pretty good at that. And what Tom Pritchard and Kane are doing right now, and some of the other great training grounds that are not owned by AEW or WWE. I think we need to archive some of this, and I don't want to see it lost. I have on my dad's side of the family, we have a family historian, which I love. And he's got, every time a baby's born or a new grandbaby comes into our family, we have to send him the information, and he's got it compiled, and there's a website for it. And I can go back 4 generations for my dad's side of the family. And I'm trying to get my mom's side of the family to do that, but we don't have a historian. We have a big Italian family with no historian. So I think in the wrestling business that we need to step forward. And I think what we are doing, what you are doing, and Adam are doing is the step in the right direction. We just need to bring this all together so that people can enjoy it, not only for our generation and the one coming behind us, but for generations to come.
Amen. Amen. Final take real quick and we'll get out of here.
That's it. I love you, brother. Thank you
Love
for allowing
Michael.
me to be with you.
This has been a
happy birthday. Final take.
Hey, final take is happy birthday to me tomorrow, folks. Great show for Michael St. John, for me, Randy Hales, the owner, the founder, the president of Power Pro Wrestling, with the Lance Russell microphone in my head, soon to be 64 years old in about 3 hours, 2 hours and 55 minutes. I'm Randy Hales saying good night, everybody. So long.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com, and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special